Welcome, Bitcoin fam, to the #1 Bitcoin pod. Bitcoin pumping back in the green, looking to retake 107. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest technical analysis. Also, Ricardo Salinas has recently been upgraded to the second richest man of Mexico, thanks to Bitcoin. Let's go. We'll also be discussing Michael Saylor teases a fresh Bitcoin buy after $1 billion stock offering. He also posted the infamous Saylor tracker, so you know what's coming by tomorrow. We'll also be discussing Tether CEO snubs IPO, says $515 billion valuation is it's a little bit bearish. We'll also be discussing analyst unveils new all-time high price target for this month, baby. Send it. We'll also be discussing the Bitcoin family revamps their security after the recent crypto crime wave. Also, Michael Saylor shares the most bullish speech of all time and ultimately says that anybody, including you, can make $100 million with Bitcoin, and he gives you the precise advice. I'll be breaking it down for you. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important, smash the like, subscribe. We're the #1 Bitcoin pod. Then ring the bell. That way you get notified each and every day when I go live. Today is pod number 2016. I'm your host, JV. That's my co-host, Nipinator, former chairman of the SEC. Today is June 8th, 2025. Happy 420 broskies. And yeah, pretty little bitty back in the green. So let's break her down. And again, welcome everyone. Join the live stream. Let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. Good to see everything back in the green. Bitcoin hovering above 106.6 at the time of the live stream. Even Ether back above 25 hundo. Even XRP got a warm piece of the sidewalk, up 5% on the day. And Zeus up 9%. I don't even know what coin Zeus is, but I know it's a Greek god. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com. The current crypto market cap back on the climb, 3.32 trillion, 2.1 trillion for the bitty market cap. As far as volume is concerned, 84.19 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours, down 0.6% on the day. Bitcoin dominance was back on the climb this week. It's a bit down today, 63.6%. Ether dominance, 9.2%. Checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We got SPX up 12%, followed by ICP, and I ain't talking about the insane clown posse, up 8.5%, followed by Radium, up 5%. Let me know which alts, if any, you're bullish on for the bull. Holla at your Nipinator. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. I expect all this to light up like a Christmas tree, and lo and behold, we got a Christmas tree right on your screen. 95%, at least 90% of the market in the green on the day. And zooming out for the weekly. The weekly shows us not as advantageous as the daily. I'd say 70-30 red over green. And zooming out for the monthly, not looking so great overall for the alts here. I'd say maybe 80-20 red over green. And zooming out for the year to get a broad annual perspective, the bulk of the market definitely in the red. So alts haven't been doing so well this alleged alt season. I don't think we've had an alt season. So there you have it. Let me know if we will witness some form of an alt season this year. And checking out the infamous Crypto Greed and Fear Index. Today we're 62 greed. Yesterday 52. Last week 56. And last month 73. And checking out the infamous time chain calendar. 2 days ago, we crossed the 900,000 block milestone. Today, it's 900,354. We have 149,646 blocks until the halving of 2028. And as of today, June 8th, 2025, you can exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 941 sats. So you know what to do, broskies. Pick up the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at BitcoinCaps.net. But anyways, let's continue with the news. We do got a lot to share. Next up, we'll be discussing some very bullish targets, and we'll pull up some of the live charts, do a little analysis. Headline reads, Bitcoin can liquidate 15 billion in shorts. You can't short, you dork. We can't afford that. With a 10% Bitcoin price uptick, and again, happy 420 for the broskies. Here we're looking at a 1 hour chart. We'll be pulling up the live chart here in a minute. But anyways, TradingView showed Bitcoin cementing its rebound after a trip to 100,500 on June 5th, which was the local bottom. The silver lining there is 100,000 held up, and that's a major psychological support support, so that's a good sign. Now almost back at its weekly open level. Bitcoin again inspired traders to bet on upside continuation. Quoting Rec Capital, on the daily time frame, Bitcoin showcasing signs of breaking the 2-week downtrend while also turning it into support earlier today. Daily closing and retesting 106.6 as outlined in the chart in the black would be even better to enable the trend continuation. Now, Bitcoin price action had already achieved the daily close above the 10-day simple moving average, something that fellow trader Super Bro had said was the prerequisite for the invalidation of the bear case. So shout out to the Super Bro. Now, also another trader, meanwhile, looked at the order book liquidity for Qs over the price direction. This was building both above and below the spot price, just like water above and below. Just saying. Bitcoin liquidation clusters now signaling an upside move. If Bitcoin pumps 10% from here, 15 billion in shorts will get liquidated. Meanwhile, a 10% downside move will liquidate almost 10 billion in longs. So either way, market makers looking to liquidate these mofos. Now, also they shared, I think, Bitcoin, big move coming next week, possibly pushing it above 110. Current all-time high was 112, achieved May 22nd, a couple of weeks back, and we do get a new weekly close here shortly. Now, updating followers, Crypto Nuevo shared he's building Bitcoin long positions at 100,000, or outlined it in the market. 100,000 is the strongest psychological support, what I mentioned earlier. It is the area where I'm building some longs with easy invalidation below it. Now, Rec Capital, meanwhile, described the support retest after May's all-time highs on the weekly time frame as successful, as outlined here. Can Bitcoin successfully confirm this retest with a weekly close above 104.4? And it looks like we're absolutely going to close above that as we're approaching 107 here, and we do get the weekly close in about an hour, hour and a half during the live stream. Now, Max Keiser shared this in response to Mexico's third richest man, Uncle Ricky, holding 80% of his wealth in Bitcoin. I think he upped it from 75%, and I think soon it's going to be 100%. It is the greatest performer in his portfolio. I've listened to quite a lot of Uncle Ricky's speeches, and I got mad respect for the man. Heck, I dare say he may even already be the #1 richest man in Mexico, because when he gave him this tagline of the third richest man in Mexico, this was like 5-6 years ago, and Bitcoin is up like, I don't know, 5 to 10x since then. So who knows? He could be the #1 most wealthiest man in Mexico at this point. Bitcoiners taking over the planet. That's all I'm saying. But let's also check out some of the live charts. We'll do a little live chart action. Jackson Satisfaction, Bo Jackson for the broskies. And then we'll get back to the chat. Give me a second to switch out the chat from the Rumble to the YouTube. There we go. That way you guys can interact here. And if you guys don't know, this is a live and interactive show. If you want to participate in the chat, you see on your screen, the direct link is, what is it? Shit, I always forget. Oh, cryptonewsalerts.net. That's the direct link to the YouTube channel in which the commenting is coming from. But here on the 1 hour chart, you can see we do got the rising wedgie. We've had a hell of a lot of momentum since hitting that 100,000 bottom just the other day. And we are continuing to rise. Again, we're above 106. Where are we at? 106. Let me move the cursor. 106,343 at the time of the live stream. And zooming out from the hourly, we'll take a look at the 4 hour, work our way backwards. And the 4 hour shows we also have the rising wedge. We do have a bear target on the screen sitting all the way down at around 99, 100. Nope, 101.2. Now, again, we did hit 101.5 just a few days ago, and that's the local bottom, but we shot right back up like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. The wonderful thing about Bitcoin is Bitcoin the wonderful thing. That's all I'm saying. And zooming out from the 4 hour thing, and I'll look at a daily. I think the caffeine's kicking in. Excellent. Okay, on the daily chart, no particular bull targets here, but we did have 3 consecutive days of bullish momentum, which is a good sign. Checking out the weekly, and like I said, the line in the sand is like 104. We're nowhere near that, so we should close extremely bullish for the new week, which means new all-time highs in play. We're less than 6,000 away from price discovery, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 7 green consecutive weekly candle closes, the most since the inception of Bitcoin, but we did get a corrective week last week, and it looks like this week we'll barely close in the green here shortly, which is awesome. We still also have the sexy cup and handle target sitting at 124,000 on the weekly chart. And checking out the monthly, April and May we're in the green, and already June forming in the green, though it's very early here in the month. But you let me know where you feel the pretty little bitty likely take us next. Next story, you should be able to see the headline here in a second on my screen. As it reads, Michael Saylor teases fresh Bitcoin buy after the recent $1 billion stock offering. That's right, the Giga Chad for the win. Strategy co-founder, executive chair Mikey Saylor posted a chart of the company's Bitcoin holdings June 8th, which was earlier today, signaling a possible upcoming acquisition. On June 8th, Saylor posted, "Send me more orange." Saylor's cryptic post, definitely not cryptic, are often followed by announcements and new Bitcoin purchases. If Strategy follows up with a post with another Bitcoin buy, it will mark the 9th consecutive week of Bitcoin purchases for Strategy B. The post comes shortly after the company purchased an additional 705 Bitcoin between May 26th and June 1st for just a simple 75 million at an average price of 106,000 per bitty, bringing the company's total Bitcoin holdings to 580,955 BTC, currently valued at 61 billion. It brings back memories because in 2020, I believe Strategy was only worth about $400 million. And Saylor was puzzled on how do I keep this melting ice cube from melting, referring to his fiat at the bank. And then he discovered, well, we can adopt a Bitcoin treasury play and put it into Bitcoin. And lo and behold, now his company is worth an insane amount. I think it's over 60 billion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Data from Saylor Tracker shows the company is up approximately 50% on the investment, amounting to around 20 billion, just an unrealized profit. So his market cap went from being worth like 400 million in 2020 to 20 billion just in unrealized profit, which is mind-boggling. And here's the Strategy history: a Bitcoin acquisition every single time they made a massive purchase. Now, Saylor's post follows Strategy's announcement we recently shared of $1 billion stock offering, quadrupling the previous $250 million raise. So he's like, yeah, we'll just 4x it. The company said it'll use the proceeds to fund additional Bitcoin purchases and general corporate expenses. The offering involves 11 million shares of the 10% Series A perpetual stride preferred stock price at $85 per share. Strategy experts to raise about 979 million after expenses from underwriting. And unlike its past funding methods, the preferred stock offers non-cumulative dividends of 10%. This appeals to the institutional and professional investors who are after the yield. It aims to offer more predictable investor returns while the company continues to pursue its aggressive Bitcoin accumulation strategy. My question for all of you, how many of you have any type of exposure to Strategy stock or any of the, STRK, ST, MSTY, any of them? Do let me know. Bitcoin Treasury data shows the company holdings make it the single largest Bitcoin holder by far, eclipsing amount of Bitcoin held by the US and China combined. You really need to get your shit together, USA. Trump, put your foot on the gas already. Strategy holdings also nearly 12 times bigger than the second largest Bitcoin holder, which is Marathon Holdings, the Bitcoin miner. Also, Strategy had become closely associated with Bitcoin, with many investors seeing the company as a corporate wrapper for Bitcoin exposure. And I think that's precisely what Strategy is. It's a corporate wrapper to get long 2x leverage on Bitcoin, which ultimately means as long as Bitcoin performs well, then Strategy stock should perform a little better. However, keep in mind, Bitcoin's extremely volatile. I think we can all agree on that. So if Bitcoin's extremely volatile, that would make any stock based on Bitcoin that much more volatile. So do take note of that. Also, a big difference between owning the underlying asset and having exposure to it, there's a big difference, right? If shit were to hit the fan, you don't own that Bitcoin at the end of the day if you have exposure to it through a wrapper. Only if you hold it in properly stored self-custody can you really say I own the private keys. So we would still definitely encourage people to stack Bitcoin. Some people prefer doing it through a stock. That's your prerogative. Some people like, to do whatever they want to do, and that's perfectly cool as well. I just don't want you to get confused. Owning Bitcoin, the underlying asset, will always be superior to having any leverage play or wrapper of Bitcoin. the wrapper of Bitcoin, maybe for those that are looking to make some form of a yield or create some form of an income off of Bitcoin, or having indirect exposure to Bitcoin versus just storing and hodling the underlying assets. So next story, we discussed the latest with the Michael Saylor, and our feature story is going to be, he was recently interviewed by Natalie Brunell on Coin Stories, and he discusses how to 100x your money for an ordinary individual. We're going to be discussing that, how to potentially have a $100 million Bitcoin position. I'll be breaking that down for you. But first, we got to cover the rest of the news. Tether CEO snubs IPO, says 515 billion valuation. That's a bit bearish. Tether's been crushing it. I mean, I think that's because more recently Circle went live, or public, I should say. And so I guess they're entertaining what would Tether be worth if they launched, an IPO. So pretty wild. That's $500 billion, and that's bearish. So yeah, Tether CEO Paolo says the stablecoin issuer has no intention of going public. They're going to remain private, and I think that's personally a smart idea. He says no need to go public, and that's 2 days after Circle, which just went public. They own the stablecoin USDC, entered the public market. Circle shares climbed 167% on the first trading session on the NYSE. Now, Paolo addressed valuation speculation raised by Artemisys CEO John Ma, who claimed that if Tether, which is behind the stablecoin USDT, well, it is, not if it is, were to go public, it would rank as the 19th largest company globally with a valuation of $515 billion, larger than the multinational giants like Costco and Coca-Cola. I repeat, if Tether USDT were to go public, their valuation would already be bigger than Costco and Coca-Cola, which is mind-boggling. Paolo called the 515 billion valuation a beautiful number. He said it might be actually too low. And he's probably not kidding. Maybe a bit bearish considering our current increasing Bitcoin plus gold treasury. Yet he says, I'm very humbled. Prominent Bitcoin advocates Pompliano and Jack Mallers and all my Bitcoin ballers both suggested the company could one day reach $1 trillion valuation. I think it's a given, especially with how much Bitcoin they have on the balance sheet. I mean, Bitcoin's just got to double and it's already there. But quoting John Ma here, if Tether went public today, Tether would be the 19th largest company in the world at a 515 billion valuation. That's ahead of Costco and Coca-Cola. Here's why. Circle is now public with a 30 billion market cap. Our financial model has Circle at 410 billion in 2025, or 69x. Tether claims 13 billion net profits 2024. 7 billion came from treasuries and repos. The other 5 billion came from unrealized gains from Bitcoin and gold holdings, which we don't include. We assume Tether grows USDT as a supply by adding another 50-60 billion of the USDT. An average USDT supply in 2025 is 170 billion, with an average Fed fund rate of 4.2%, implying 7.4 billion 2025. And the numbers are astronomical. Paolo added he is truly excited for the next phase of growth for our company. I would dare say the same. Tether's USDT ranks as the third largest crypto by market cap, valued at 154 billion, and they do have their headquarters in Bitcoin country. Shout out Bukele. Meanwhile, April 24th, it was announced Tether would become the majority owner of 21 Capital. I repeat, Tether had become the majority owner of 21 Capital, a new Bitcoin treasury company founded by all my Bitcoin ballers such as Strike's Jack Mallers. And despite the recent launch, 21 already become the world's third largest corporate holder. So upon launch, that's because they have the backing of Tether and Cantor Fitzgerald, multi-billion-dollar conglomerates. Tether moved a combined 37,229 Bitcoin, worth 3.9 billion, to addresses linked to the new Bitcoin native financial platform. And how many Bitcoin treasury companies have been birthed since MicroStrategy? There's quite a lot. I tend to be announcing them virtually every show, a new one. Next story, we're going to be discussing 120,000 target this June, which means this month, at least according to the analyst. Synonymous analyst Pentosh tells his followers on X, Bitcoin's weekly chart shows the Bitcoin demand is significantly outpacing supply, resulting to the higher prices. Supply shock, let's get it. And there's legitimately the least amount of Bitcoin available right now in the exchanges since we have witnessed since 2018, so in the past 7 years. The trader says he's seeing insatiable demand for Bitcoin from firms and traditional finance, leading him to believe the bullish continuation is on the table for the pre-little bitty. Quoting him here, demand is greater than supply. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Feel like we see around 120,000 per bitty. this month, no Diddy. The analyst also shared he remained patient and have a long-term outlook on the King crypto. He says, every day, if there's billions of dollars flowing into the BTC, why is it not going up? My brother in Christ, zoom out. It is going to get there, just maybe not always at the speed you want. And he actually makes a great point there. And looking at the broader crypto market, he says a new bubble is forming in the space, quoting him here. Looks like all of the money is going to be made in crypto companies doing IPOs at wild valuations. Deeper pockets, more liquidity, higher valuations. Another bubble is a brewing. Another bubble to chase. Meanwhile, Penn's bubble call comes after shares of stablecoin issuer Circle meteorically rose the first day of trading. Like I said, their IPO just went live. Circle debuted on the stock market on Thursday with an opening price of $69 per share. Is that a subliminal message, ladies? 69. A massive increase from the IPO value of 31 per share, I dare say. And there you have it. Biddy broskies and biddy baddies. What are your thoughts? 120. We do still have the 124 sexy cup and handle target on the weekly chart. Do you think the analyst is right? Next leg up this month, all-time high. Price discovery, holla at your boy. Let me know. Bitcoin family revamped security after the crypto crime wave, referencing the recent kidnappings of, influential crypto folks. So yeah, this guy, I guess they pronounced Diddy or Didi. I don't want to throw him under the bus and refer to him as Diddy. That would be disrespectful. So I'm just going to say Didi, and hopefully that's accurate. He overhauled his digital asset security setup following a wave of the violent attacks targeting crypto holders, and we have covered many of those stories here on the pod. The family, known for going all in on Bitcoin back in 2017, now hides portions of their private keys across 4 continents. It's starting to sound like Dragon Ball Z. You got to collect all the Dragon Balls to get the wish. In a CNBC interview, he said he now uses a hybrid approach instead of relying solely on hardware wallets. He shared on CNBC that the family has changed everything, quoting him here. Even if someone held me at gunpoint, I can't give them more than what's on my wallet or my phone. And that's not a lot. Exactly. The security overhaul comes amid the new wave of criminal activity, including kidnappings, extortion attempts aimed at crypto users. He said the threats forced them to rethink their security strategy. The family seed phrase is encrypted and split into 4 parts. He said it's stored using blockchain-based services and fireproof metal plates etched by hand. The plates are then hidden in physical locations worldwide, allowing the family to eliminate potential points of failure in their security system. Now, he also added a layer of personal encryption to further strengthen the setup by modifying some words of the seed phrase, making them unusable without the proper context. The family lives a nomadic lifestyle, traveling globally, promoting the biddy, and because of their increasing threat going on to crypto holders, he said the family no longer posts real-time updates about their location. Smart. Online, after receiving threats from individuals who track them using social media. Yeah, you got to move in silence. Satoshi figured it out a long time ago. He also said 65% of the family assets are now held in cold storage under the new security model. Their hot wallets for trading and expenses are protected through multi-signature protocols. A digital asset as the prices rise, so have incidents related to the crypto crime. In late 2024 and early this year, high-profile cases emerged in France, Pakistan, Australia, and Canada, linking violent crimes to crypto ownership. There's even a couple of assassinations here in Puerto Rico with some high, holding Bitcoin folks as well. And in January, gang members in the UK were convinced of kidnapping, torturing, extorting a crypto investor. Then February, 6 men kidnapped the family of 3 in Shah City, demanding the transfer of 15 million in crypto. And in March, a streamer became a victim of a home invasion, and allegedly there was police officers on the take involved. Shit's a mess, and we're seeing more and more of these crimes. South Korea, France, you name it. Now, I think it's potentially a smart move there. I don't want to get into the inner workings of separating your private keys like it's a Dragon Ball in different continents across the world. Obviously, if you don't know what you're doing, that could absolutely backfire. So here's the thing. Learn how to properly self-custody your Bitcoin and make moves smart. Do it in silence. With Bitcoin, remove your ego. You don't need to be bragging about how much Bitcoin you have. You don't need to be bragging about living the bitty high life, traveling around the world, letting people know your itineraries of where you're going to be at what time and such. You're just going to set yourself up for something awful, to happen at the end of the day. So stress extreme caution, because today you may say, you know what? I only have 0.1 Bitcoin, bro. It's only 10,000. Well, think about what it's going to be worth a decade from now. And that one single post of you bragging because your ego's on, full force. It's like, oh my God. People could trace you and be like, dude, I remember when he bought the 0.1 Bitcoin. That's now worth 10 million. I'm coming for him. Just saying, be careful, guys. That's why it's not a bad idea to lose it all in a boating accident. Just saying. You have nothing to steal. Your life's no longer in danger. All right, fam. Now for our featured story of the day. The Giga Chad Michael Saylor was recently interviewed on Natalie Brunell's Coin Stories podcast, and Natalie asked him straight up, Michael, how can an individual, like a regular individual, get a 100x return? And Saylor broke down the roadmap for a regular pleb to stack $100 million worth of Bitcoin, and I transcribed it word for word, and I'm going to read it to you right now. So first and foremost, shout out Michael Saylor, shout out Natalie Brunell, and shout out to the Coin Stories podcast. Again, verbatim, I transcribed it myself. Here's what Michael said. I think the best way to get 100x returns as an individual would be keep your day job so you maximize the cash flow you generate by whatever your profession is. So that's right. Don't quit your day job. Keep the income coming. You're responsible on your expenditures. You have to think in the year 2045, which is 20 years out. I think a Bitcoin's worth 13 million. And that's conservative, by the way. So every Bitcoin you don't buy is really a $13 million cost. And that's a very profound concept. Let that one sink in. That Rari that you're going to buy is going to cost you like 6 Bitcoin. And so it's going to be a $100 million Rari if you look out 20 years. So you have to keep your job unless you're already insanely rich. Then don't splurge on the Rari. Buy the 6 Bitcoin instead. And with regard to leverage, the intelligent leverage for the individual is generally long-dated, mid-dated mortgage debt. So if I have any kind of property, such as a house, I would put a long mortgage on it, a 10-year, 15, or 20-year mortgage. And most commonly, is it not 30 years? But anyways, especially a conforming loan, and then roll it over into Bitcoin, because mortgage debt is not marked to market. It's against an asset which is fairly stable. Now, normally the interest rates are subsidized by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac program or government program. So it's the cheapest form of permanent capital that someone could get. So I give you what you shouldn't do. You should not quit your job. You shouldn't splurge on sports cars you can't afford. And don't buy a yacht because it's insanely expensive. And don't pay off your mortgage. I repeat, don't pay off your mortgage. Don't get debt free. And again, this is transcribed word for word when Natalie asked him this question. I found it very profound. I want to give a shout out to Vivek as well for actually sharing the clip in which I transcribed. And I encourage you to watch the entire interview between Natalie and Michael. Be sure to check the show notes below the video in the description. And I want to know your thoughts on that. Do you agree with Michael Saylor that the regular individual can still get a 100x return by following that roadmap over the course of the next couple of decades by the year 2045? Do let me know. And also, let's pull this up. Max Keiser recently tweeted, the time was 2020, the place, Miami Beach. A successful businessman looking at the 400 million melting ice cube on his balance sheet sees the orange light for the first time, and corporate finance is changed forever. Look at that face. And now the man's company is worth over $60 billion. Back in 2020, it was a melting ice cube, a fiat capital in the bank only worth $400 million. And he birthed all these other, corporate Bitcoin treasury plays. We call it the Saylor put. You got MetaPlanet and all these other companies now like 21 purely just adopting Bitcoin, following in the blueprint or the roadmap that he has laid out. And if it wasn't for Michael Saylor, we probably wouldn't have nowhere near near the institutional adoption we're experiencing in this cycle, nor would we have Trump signing the executive order for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve and all that. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Also, shout out to Max Keiser. He recently announced he's running for president for the United States for the year 2028, and he created the Orange Pill Party. And here you can see, you can follow the Orange Pill Party, which I would recommend you do. Shout out Max Keiser, by the way. And let's check out some of the other more recent tweets in which he shared. There's a lot of stuff, of course, regarding El Salvador. You can see here from the Bitcoin office, which FYI is ran by Stacy Herbert. And if you didn't know, Max and Stacy are actually the Bitcoin advisors to President Bukele. Max points out here, Bitcoin is demonetizing real estate. I mean, couldn't agree more. This guy predicts real estate will crash sometime between 2026 and 2028 and explains 11 reasons why. Well, one of those reasons should be Bitcoin demonetizing it. Yeah, I mean, also Max did a fantastic post I reposted earlier. I'm not going to read it here. It's very long, but it's very good in regards to the rioting going on in Los Angeles, and then makes a great comparison to what Bukele did with El Salvador. Another interesting statistic, world leaders approving rating. Bukele is the highest in the world, the highest we've ever seen. 91% approval. Putin, 80%. I guess the Indian president, 76%. Malay, 58%. But I don't even know if Trump's on this list, is he? Donald Tusk? That's kind of hilarious. There is a president by the name of Donald Tusk. That's new to me. But I don't even see a U.S. president even on the list. So, just to show you. But anyways, you guys let me know your thoughts surrounding the Saylor prediction, and that you can still get 100x return by stacking the biddy and following in his advice. And I'll read your comments out loud. If a Rari costs 6 Bitcoin in 20 years, then Bitcoin will have disappointed. No, I think he's saying today. A Rari today is 6 Bitcoin. And in 20 years, that 6 Bitcoin is no longer the 600,000 you paid today, but ends up being 100 million. That was the logic behind what he was sharing. I watched that video. She is a fox. Can I get a go on strike for Natalie Brunell? Absolutely.